Hey everybody, Andrea here. At this point, I figure you might be considering what you have in your studio versus what you need. So I thought it might be helpful to just take a look around at the choices that I've made and why I've made those. Now, in this video, I will give you a tour of my studio, but more importantly, it's not about the stuff, it's about what the stuff does for you. So I'll give you a little bit of visibility into that too. Let's go ahead and flip around our view. All right, here we are on the back side of my green screen. You'll notice that it is fairly large. It's about 8 feet by 8 feet, which is roughly equivalent to 2.5 meters. So as we move on forward, let's see what's behind curtain number 1. Ooh, the stuff. So just taking it from the left, you'll notice that I have these small lights. Their sole purpose is to light the green screen. The box lights, they are here to light me. Today I have set up a second camera that I'm just running off of an old iPhone, and its purpose is to show you picture-in-picture of the ATEM Mini that I will be displaying. You'll also notice that I have a second laptop, and this laptop I'm just running my slide deck off of. Over here is my main computer, which is what I would use to run the Zoom and the Teams, and obviously here behind the scenes, you'll notice that I'm running OBS, which is my recording software, and it's also my virtual camera software. I also have a very nice camera. It is a 4K camcorder. In order to be successful with your studio, you certainly don't need something like this, although there are some benefits to this one and to cameras like this. Now within this configuration, I just needed a little bit of warmth and filler light, so that's why I added the ring light. It's actually not here all the time, but I have a little bit of low light coming from the windows, so that's why I chose to supplement. You'll also notice that I do choose to lift my main device, and that's because I spend a lot of time looking at it. And since I'm looking here, I really do want my eye line to be close to the camera so it looks like I'm looking in the camera. Because I elevate the laptop, it's hard to reach the keyboard. Therefore, I have to have a supplemental keyboard and mouse. You'll also notice that I have this Stream Deck, which is really handy because I can change my view, or it's called a scene, at the touch of a button. And I'm a really big fan of just touching a button and having it be that easy. To continue out our view, you'll notice that I have the symmetrical box light here to fill me. I also have another table, and these are adjustable legs. If I wanted to do a standing session, I can change the height of this. I also often put my second monitor there. And obviously it's also small and easy to move around, so I can change my configuration easily. And then to round out my view, this light is going to be the other side of lighting up the green screen, and this does go almost all the way back up to the ceiling. Now that we've gotten acquainted with what these items are, let's go ahead and check out what they can do for us. So here I am seated in front of my green screen. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, Andrea, we saw that on the wall and you're sitting in front of the green screen. How does this all work? So what I have done is I like my office view and I like being in a place that's real for me. So I took a picture of my office view and I use that as a virtual background in the green screen. Now, why would I do something like that? A couple reasons. The green screen helps me isolate my image so I can do all the cool stuff I'm about to show you. So the green screen's kind of a necessary evil. Or depending on how you look at it, a necessary greatness. I'll put it that way. So that's part of the reason why I have my background as a virtual background. But I mean, come on, how amazing is it to never have to worry about cleaning up your background? So that's another side benefit that I get of having this setup. Now, as I'm showing you some of the features of this, I'd love to show you that picture-in-picture view that I mentioned before. So as I go through, the first thing I'd love to show you is my ATEM and why I love my ATEM Mini. So one of the reasons why I do love it is it does what you can see right here. You know, let's say there's something in my environment that I'd like for you to see in close. I can do a picture-in-picture. I can also do other camera views. So I'll list those out here in a moment. Another thing that's really nice about this is I can turn the picture-in-picture off and turn me on. So I can float over my own slides, which is really handy because this isn't a static image. This is a live slide deck that helps me go to different things. So as you notice, as I flip through here, these are slides that might be in a typical slide deck, and I can just float over whatever it is that I'm clicking. And the way that I'm doing that, you might have remembered the second laptop. I have my slide deck running off of there, and I'm just using a regular clicker. So there are several different ways to do the same thing, but I spent a lot of years in a live classroom. I like having my clicker, and I just changed so much in a short amount of time. It felt comfortable to me to keep this, and it's a really effective way to do this anyway. So those are some of the great things that I can do with this. Now, I mentioned that thing before about switching views. And so you saw slide deck view. That's what we're looking at right now. Other things that I can do within this whole idea of the buttons. So right now, I just want to show you what my different feeds are coming in here. Feed number 4. I'm just going to switch over to that. That's iPad view. So let's say I had a timer on here that I wanted to show. Or in other cases, sometimes I use something that I use for participant engagement. So I might want to spin the wheel to see who's going to come up, and that's the next person who has a chance to talk within the session. So that is one of the reasons why I like switching over to iPad view. Now, you also noticed I have my slide view. So that's coming in through feed 2. Here today, I have my picture-in-picture coming into feed 1. And then the last one on the list is my main camera view, which is where I actually spend most of my time. Although I toggle between my main camera view and then also being in slide view where my participants can see me. So these are my 2 main places where I hang out. But one of the things that you're noticing here within my first feed of the picture-in-picture, it's a second camera angle. So sure, today I'm showing you equipment, but it could be all kinds of different things. Maybe you're showing a flip chart angle, or you have a smart board. So this same picture-in-picture would be something that you'd be able to float over any of your other feeds. Another example, let's say you want to have the difference and the intrigue of a couple different camera angles. You can have this for your main camera angle, and look at that, isn't it fun? If I forget to turn off the key, there are 2 of me. So not that you'd really want to do that very often, but isn't it cool that you can? So when you think about the whole idea of your feeds and using them to your advantage, I might be here most of the time, but then I want to come in close because I want to make an emphasis point. So that's another thing that I would be able to do with this second camera angle. So these are some of the things that I do within my ATEM Mini, and it is extremely convenient. I mean, I can't even stress enough how much I love this little tool. Now, there is one other thing that I wanted to go ahead and show you. And in the background here, what I did was the very high-tech motion of moving the second camera view over to the Stream Deck here. So that way you can see it in picture-in-picture as well. So with our Stream Deck, these are all different things that I can go ahead and switch views at the touch of a button. So what can I do with this Stream Deck? Well, I'm glad you asked. Here are some of my favorite uses of it. So first of all, if I didn't have an ATEM, I could actually use it to float over my slides and display picture-in-picture. So that is another option that I can do with the Stream Deck. But obviously that's not how I use it, because I use both of these in conjunction with each other. So I save my Stream Deck to do things like switching around to things like main camera only. So as an example of that, here I'm in main camera view. So I might be in main camera only view, and then I want to go and demonstrate something that is maybe giving me some credibility. I'm trying to demonstrate some credibility. So I can switch over to, let's say I'm doing an intro and I talk about all the fantastic clients that I've worked with. As I'm talking about that, I can switch views to just make it appear. And then I don't have to go very deeply into who they are and that kind of stuff. It just is automatically there for me, which is really handy. Maybe I'm shooting a recording and I want to make sure that I have a little bit of, that information. So maybe it's my name, or maybe it's where we are within our modules, and these little banners can pop up and give me some of that credibility and give the viewer or the participant a little bit of understanding of where we are within the process. So these are some things that I just did, and let me go ahead and make sure that this is really clear. At the touch of a button, I made those names appear. I'm going to go back into real view, and at the touch of a button, I made those logos appear. I'm going to go back into camera view. At the touch of a button, I can also do things like share my screen. So I don't necessarily do this all of the time, but you'll notice that one of the things that's really handy with this is, let's say there is something that's really hard to screen share otherwise. For example, I'm constantly trying to help participants find a feature in Zoom or MS Teams. So if I can just switch to this view and they can see exactly what I see, then it's very clear on how they would create a whiteboard or how they would go ahead and unmute themselves or start a video. So I have found screen share to be one of the things that increasingly is one of my favorite features. Now I'm going to come back over here to our main view. So I'm always toggling back and forth so you can see just how easy it is to press a button and get a totally different view. Within classes, and I'm actually going to turn this one off now so it's easier to see the model. I find I frequently want to reference a map. So let's say this is the agenda for today. And as we transition to topics, I want to make sure that I pull that map back up so people know where we are within the flow. So this is something that is a static image right here within my buttons, and no matter where we are, I can always go back and remind of that. Same thing here with the idea of, maybe this is our main model from the course. So I might have shown this when I introduced the model, but as you go through and you're maybe like 50 slides away from the main model and you really want the visual anchor to go ahead and tie back to, it's very handy to have it here at the touch of a button so you can just go ahead and remind of that. And similar to that, but slightly different, I have several classes that go together. So it might be a totally different class that I might need to reference, but I'm not quite sure, and I don't want to have a slide for it. But if it comes up, I'm able to just go ahead and switch views so my participants can see the visual anchor from that sister content and go ahead and switch back and forth with that. And then one of the last things that I wanted to show you with the Stream Deck here is sometimes I just like to have some fun with it. So as participants come into the sessions, it might be nice to have a more calming view or something that's kind of fun or interesting. Around the holidays, I had a snow globe and had jaunty little holiday themed music. So this is a way that I can switch views and do those things. And then sometimes I just want to inject something that I think might make them laugh. So let's say I've just said something that I think, I want to emphasize. So I might pause and say something like, yes, I do think you heard that correctly. You might just wake up and say, can you say that again? So, these are all things that I might have pre-planned in case I figure out, ooh, this would be a really great place to insert and fill in the blank with whatever that might be. So those are a few different things that I like to do within my studio. I hope you found that informative. And if you have any questions, please let me know. One of the fastest ways you can get those to me is to drop them in the comments associated with this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.